Welcome to the second part of this episode of Beyond Health with our guest, Dr. Grace Hameister. In case you missed the first part of the discussion, you can find it by clicking the link in the top right corner. The different discussion points are all timestamped throughout the episode, so you can freely move around as you see fit. So I think I've got all the information on what we should do and how we should do it. I want to touch on nutrition and diet, but first, I would love to know more about FoodFIXR. You've mentioned it a couple times, and obviously offline, we've talked about it quite a few times. So can you give us some insights on what FoodFIXR is, what you're doing? Just from everything I could read online and all my love of tech and health, it sounds like a very cool thing. It sounds very unique. And I think just being able to really quantify that food as medicine and food for functional health is going to be very interesting. So if you can give us an insight on what FoodFIXR is doing, how you're doing it.
FoodFIXR has been been in my mind and working in my clinic, I should say, for the last 15 years. And I've just reached the space where I'm limited with what my human body can do now. It's time for the technology to take over. What FoodFIXR is, we're a health tech company, and we are starting with an app that helps people to repair from the conditions that they have with whole foods and whole food eating. You fill out a little bit of a questionnaire and find out what your condition is, what symptoms you have that you're suffering from, be it heart disease, or you just survived cancer and you need to change your lifestyle, or you had a concussion and you want to do some brain repair, whatever the case may be. You give us your condition, and our algorithm, according to science and literature, will give you an actual grocery store list of the foods that have the highest, densest nutrients to help your body to repair. So that's not just looking at macronutrients and salt or sodium intake and sugar and these kinds of things, like all the weight loss apps out there. We specifically focus on ingredients, sustainability, which foods will help to heal your body, or which ones can make you worse. How this has been developing, we are in the MVP creativity process right now. I have a company called Suggestic that's working with us, and they have a team of engineers that are constantly updating and working with the API that we need. So what they've done is over the years, they've been generating a massive database where it has all this information that they've been gathering, especially in the United States right now. All the foods in the FDA database, all the nutrients in those foods, all the foods that have the groceries in them, what's in the labels, like all this stuff. I don't need to reinvent that wheel. They've been doing it for over 10 years, and they have a really great database or library of data. So they're helping me to streamline how we go through the process of what is the workflow of FoodFIXR. So you give us your condition, and we give you an actual grocery store list. So you can go shopping for the foods that will help you to repair.
Very cool.
Now, on top of that, what's also very cool is we now are integrating ChatGPT enabled coaching system. So you have a live coach, a real person that's working with you, but they also are integrated with a system that helps to automate more of the responses and actually like text with you and give you directions and things for help to not only help to engage you more, but also to help with the success of the goals that you're looking for. So it's really cool. It's called Wellness GPT. That's what Suggestic has just started to integrate into their systems. They actually purchased a company that was doing this, and they would get 8 to 80 times more engagement with users and success rates because you have someone helping you. We have that integration as well with FoodFIXR. And we're looking to do some other really cool things with spatial web, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We need to just make this MVP first. But
Makes sense.
suffice it to say, the reason we spelled FoodFIXR without an E is because there is definitely going to be virtual reality aspects to it, including what I'm looking at right now, where when you scan the ingredient list, a pop-up will come up that'll show you what foods are really good or which ones are really bad, or what, like, it'll say, this is a trans fat. What is a trans fat? How do you know what they are? You're not supposed to eat trans fat, but what is it? So we'll have that with a little FoodFIXR guy in VR on your phone, showing you things, and it's gonna be fun and engaging. It's not gonna be a super linear like MyFitnessPal, and it's also truly a food as medicine solution. We are not weight loss. Weight loss will be a side effect for what we're doing. Our condition-based programming is designed to help the body repair. That's what we do.
That's very cool. I think gamification is very smart to incorporate because it's just continuously been shown to increase efficacy on anything you're doing if you gamify it a bit. So that's really smart. So take me through it again. You give your conditions, it gives you a list of foods that you should get. And then you said there's a scanning option. So when you're at the grocery store, you can scan barcodes to tell you if the foods are healthy as well, or if you can put them like simply to MyFitnessPal or other apps out there.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Because we also, in the process of this, besides having the grocery store list, we also have access to recipes and meal design. When you're trying to put together your menus and stuff, you'll have the list first. One thing that I find is grossly underrepresented in grocery and in food is people's knowledge of just what the foods are that you eat. So a lot of apps that are out there start with giving you recipes that you like of foods that you may be liking or whatever. And then when you get the recipe, then it gives you a grocery store list of what you need to shop for to make that recipe. In my eyes, that's backwards. When you're looking for food, food is medicine. It truly is medicine. Food is designed to keep us alive, but also to help us to thrive. And right now, people aren't thriving because they're choosing foods that are feed-like products, which we talked on before. They're full of toxins, trans fats, excitotoxins, corn sugar, GMOs. If you're getting a recipe of something that looks healthy, but you're choosing ingredients to make that recipe that may have some of those toxic debris in them, you're looking at it all wrong. So that's why I want to democratize the grocery list. I think it's critical that people get the information, and no matter how much money you make, no matter where you live, no matter what your skin color is, you have access to this information, period. And when you get that grocery list, then there's a subscription model for learning what recipes you can make with the food and that kind of thing. Or people can just get creative and do it on their own. But the list needs to be free. The list just needs to be free. It's like having the FDA list. People don't even know that exists. And then how do you surf through that? So we pinpoint the kinds of things that will, according to your biochemistry, be most efficient for your body to help cellular repair. And then when you know what those foods are, then you can make them into a recipe, but not recipe first.
And there's no specific type of diet or nutrition that you would promote with this, right? It's just about the foods themselves, and then whatever other type of nutrition you'd like to have or structure to your nutrition that you like to have, you can continue having, right?
Yes, you just build on whatever your lifestyle diet is. Unless, of course, you're starting over and you don't know what to do, then we'll make suggestions for you, right? But I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
if you're vegetarian or you're vegan or you want to be paleo or keto or you're already following these kinds of diets or you're gluten-free or you have any food allergies, all these things will be screened from the beginning. We can tailor your diet to things like I eat corn-free, so I don't want anything that has corn in it, or gluten-free, same thing. All these things can be manipulated by the API to filter in exactly the precise suggestions for you.
Oh, that's very cool. And that includes keto, you said, so you could
Oh,
remove
yeah.
anything that is like not fit to keto?
Yeah.
That's very cool. That's a big thing. I know the main aim is food is medicine, but when you're talking about people who do fat loss and just having to think about what's in your diet, I have a lot of friends who are keto and they're like, spend so much time like, oh, I can't eat this. Oh, I can't eat this. Oh, I can't eat this.
I
So
see,
I'm,
exactly. And a lot of people that are doing keto and other diets like that have a higher awareness of things. But
yeah,
even some of those foods, they're manufactured crap. And
right, right,
you have
right.
to really make sure that you're not getting the toxic debris and to be as clean as possible. And like I said in the beginning of this, if God didn't make it, don't eat it. Go back to source.
I know that one. Yeah. I think that's words to live by. Great. So I think that gives me really a good place to move on to some of the actual nutritional trends and diets that we just touched on. I'm sure you're going to say nothing is a one size fits all, and it depends on your specific needs and your specific goals, and you should make sure the food is healthy. But I do want to touch on a few of these and not focus on really the fat loss and muscle gain benefits, but talk about the overall health benefits. So I think the easiest one to start with is one that I'm a big fan of that I've been doing for years, and that's intermittent fasting, which isn't really a diet so much as it is a diet structure, I suppose you could call it. And that would be intermittent fasting and time restricted feeding. So just to clarify between the two of them, intermittent fasting would be when you're any type of diet when you don't eat for a certain amount of time, whereas time restricted feeding is when you would not eat during certain periods during the day. So with intermittent fasting, you could, for example, not eat for a whole day, whereas time restricted feeding you would generally eat pretty much every day. So this has been shown to have massive benefits, regulating glucose levels, autophagy, which basically is your body heating itself to produce new cells. I think it's been shown to improve things like cancer cell growth, which I'm sure you'll have ideas on. What are your thoughts on this? Are you a fan?
Yeah, actually, it's great for stabilizing sleep patterns. It's great for stabilizing brain, for your gut. Yes, intermittent fasting is excellent for helping to choke off the cancer cell so that the cancer cell just can't eat. There's an amazing woman named Martha Tattenbaum, I believe is her name, Martha Tattenbaum. She's from Canada. She's a dietitian, and she found out that she had cancer. And as a dietitian, she just started digging into the literature and found out that for over 100 years, there's been scientific data showing that intermittent fasting and very specific foods that you eat before and after chemo choke off the cancer cell so it cannot grow. For 100 years, we've known this. Why are people getting cancer treatments and not having this care? It's criminal to me. Honestly, it truly is just criminal. So, yeah, I think that, yes, I agree. Fasting is great. Yes.
Really fascinating. I think it definitely is. And just the stuff on cancer it's really one of a kind. And I don't know, some people say, oh, it's so difficult to do. But for me, I have a friend who fasts 3 days a week, like a full day of fasting. He's a pilot. For him, it's easier probably not to eat anything than to eat something and then do it at certain times. And he doesn't have a normal circadian rhythm. But for me, it's just always been like I got used to it. And I have a lot of joint pain. And what I found was the funniest thing is that fasting actually helps the most with my joint pain compared to anything else.
That's amazing.
And
Well,
and
and
I
keep in
mean, it's just
mind too,
crazy.
like it doesn't have to be so hard. You just stop eating at 8 o'clock at night before going to bed. Like honestly, and then you sleep for 8 hours. And then if you don't eat until about 11, excuse me, by doing your liquids and stuff in the morning and then start eating at around 11 a.m., you just fast.
Yeah. As long as you, I think, limit food 2 hours before sleep and 2 hours after sleep, that's perfectly fine. And
It's before.
for after sleep?
4 hours before going to bed is when you should stop eating.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To give your gut the
How come?
most, when you're sleeping, you're supposed to rest. To give your gut the most restful and repair oriented chance, you want to have as much food move through as possible before you start to go to bed. I always recommend 4 hours.
That's going to be very tough. I sleep pretty early, and that would mean I stop eating at 6:30. I don't know if I can do that, doctor.
You seem to be doing fine with your schedule of fasting anyway, so I think you'll be all right.
Okay, before we move on to some of the cool tech and gadgets, I want to know what are your overall thoughts on fad diets like keto, paleo, Mediterranean, and what have you? What are your thoughts on these?
I don't recommend these diets. I look at the body at the chemical level and the biochemistry of what organ systems need to be healed. And then I don't go into, oh, now you should do keto too. So it's a fine balance for me. I respect that people are doing those diets and I want to be able to give them resources for that while they're using the app, obviously. But my first line of defense when I'm looking at somebody in their body, if they come in with gut problems or psoriasis or any of these other things, I don't say, hey, you should try keto diet. No, we look at the organ systems and see what's been depleted the most and repair that. We start at the source of what is broken. So the fad diet itself isn't really part of the wheelhouse of what we're trying to have an impact on with FoodFIXR and food as medicine.
Fair enough then. Let's touch on some of the cool technologies and gadgets that you like to use within your practice and would generally recommend for people to use.
Now we're talking.
Cold laser therapy is one of those that I'm really keen on. We had our first health guest speak on HPOT and the massive impacts that has. But I think cold laser therapy is something that I've seen you talk about a couple of times before. We'd love to know if you could give us some insights on what cold laser therapy is, what the difference between catabolic and anabolic lasers are, what they can do for you, and how people can benefit.
Yes, cold laser
Go for it.
therapy revolutionized how I can handle a patient and consistently and with 100% confidence give results that always help them every single time. The body is made out of light. We are light beings. That's how things kind of work. It's not just about a bunch of chemical cascades. When I found out about cold laser and started to use it in my office, it was revolutionary. What a cold laser is, a true anabolic laser. Anabolic means it builds body up. build it up. The catabolic one would be like, say, for laser eye surgery, where you see the smoke coming off and stuff because it's cauterizing. Okay, that's the difference between the two. So with cold laser, and that's why it's called cold, because you don't really feel anything when he's working on you. It's no more powerful than a scanner at the grocery store when you're looking at the light. So you don't have to worry about if it gets in your eyes, you're not go blind, you'll be okay. In fact, I've used it to actually help repair corneal scratches and tear duct clogs on a baby, actually. It can be very safe. A true laser
Right.
actually stands for light amplification by the stimulated emission of radiation, LASER. So that's a true laser. And this is a massive industry with a ton of different kinds of lasers. The kind that I'm talking about that helps to repair the body is set at 635 nanometers. And 635 nanometers is the light phase of a cell. It's the time when your cell is at its most healthy and alive, life phase. Because a cell is born, it lives, and then it dies, just like everything else. It's how we repair. The laser will help to decrease pain, decrease inflammation, increases range of motion and muscle strength. And we have all this empirical data on all of this too. We've been doing this for a long time. And when I say we, I actually used to work with a company who designed one of the first ones here in the United States and helped to train other doctors how it was used. And there's an amazing quantum physicist that worked with us too. His name was James Oshman. And he wrote the book called Energy Medicine. If you've never read that, it's a mind blower. It will definitely change your mind on how energy works in the body, that it's real, that it's quantifiable. There are machines now that can actually measure the electricity that comes off of your heart, the sinoatrial node. That's why they put the paddles on and say clear and give you electricity. So the sinoatrial node, the electricity that comes off of your body can now be measured 15 feet away from your body. So when you are standing in front of somebody and you feel like you have a vibe with them of some sort, it could be a good vibe or a bad vibe, whatever, it's real. Like you're actually exchanging currents of energy. The laser helps to repair tissue in ways that I like to say it makes you heal like Wolverine from the inside out, from the cellular level on out, by increasing the electron transport. That's one way that it does it. It affects the mitochondria directly. So there's less tissue damage from free radicals because the laser helps to streamline that. It also helps to repair skin and tissue in ways that doesn't leave as big of scars. In fact, you can have pretty much almost no scar formation happen if you get the laser on immediately after, say, surgery in particular, where you have the wound open. As we touched on earlier, all wounds carry a charge and they're negatively charged. So the laser helps to also mitigate that and neutralize that charge. So it helps to speed up the repair process as well. I would never, ever in a million years, ever go back into a clinical practice again without having cold laser therapy.
Very cool. How can people do this? I know it's usually alongside chiropractic work, but how would someone undergo it? Is there a specific type of doctor that generally has this, or it's just one of those things you should look around who might do it?
In my experience from being in sales with the company, the guys that are using it the most are chiropractors, PTs, and sometimes massage therapists that have more of a medical background. Some functional medicine doctors. I would look for doctors that, if they're already progressive enough to be using hyperbaric oxygen therapy and ozone therapy and some of these other things, if they don't have a laser, then ask them who might. Or you can just get on a website like the laser that I use is from Erconia Medical. And you can look for any practitioner that has the laser and they'll help set you up. And they're
Very cool.
global too. They do sell these all over the place.
Is this a permanent solution, or is it still something you need to keep doing? Or again, it depends on the specific person and the specificity of the problem.
So if you have chronic shoulder pain,
Yes.
I think that if you find the right doctor that's looking at all the different areas of your shoulder and doing physical adjustments, looking at the entire, like there's 17 muscles that are attached to your scapula. It could be any one of those that keeps getting aggravated and that you don't even know it. And needs to be reprogrammed to neurologically so that it understands what its role really is instead of what it's doing. It could be any one of those 17 muscles. I've reversed lots of shoulder pains many times because of using laser, but also by knowing the neurology, anatomy, the muscles, the attachment to the bone, what bones are moving, which ones aren't, what are your asymmetries or imbalances that you have. Is your cervical spine or your neck and all the nerves coming out of there, is it innervating the areas that need to be done? Have all these tests been done? That's where you need to start. And again, it's not about just shining the light and sending you on your way. You need to do very specific things for maybe only one muscle of all those 7. And we don't know. So
Right.
the laser though will give you a damn good chance of getting much better, if not completely under control.
Cool. I'll definitely find someone who does that here then, and let you know how it goes.
Please do.
Will do. Okay. Another cool thing I've heard you talk about a lot of times is blood flow restriction bands. As someone who's always looking to maximize gains with doing as little work as possible, because I'm always working and just getting 45 minutes to an hour max per day to work out. It sounds like a really cool thing. From what I could see on the literature, it's very scientific and very exciting. Can you give
Yes.
us some insights on what it is, how it works, and who specifically it could benefit, if not everyone?
Yeah, BFR is amazing. And it just came into my awareness, I would say, within the last 2 or 3 years, honestly. There's a company called B3 Bands. They're my favorite. And the reason being, they're designed by a chiropractor and they up leveled how blood flow resistance training works in a way that is the only one that will not cause damage because it has little air pillows inside the band. If the band is flat like this, it has these little chambers like that go here. And in each of those chambers, when you fill up the chambers with air, they fill up, but there's still a little space in between each one. Venous and arterial blood flow can still occur. And therefore, some of the things that have gone wrong with BFR is that you restrict so much that it's like a tourniquet and you end up causing tissue damage. This company fixed that, basically. And what's so incredibly amazing about BFR to me is the natural growth hormone production that occurs. When you're using a BFR band from the B3 bands and you're doing your workouts, you should only use them like 20 minutes or so. You're not supposed to do full on hardcore workouts. You need to work up to that. If you're somebody that's an Olympian, we're talking a little bit different because you're already in that physiological state where you're using stuff all the time. Right? When you're just getting started, some of the stories of people who have been using BFR, there was a gentleman who was in his 70s who couldn't get out of his wheelchair and he would just start using them. That you put them real high on your shoulders here and real high on your thighs as well. And just by doing that little by little, it helped the muscle to grow. It causes what's called angiogenesis, which means more blood can flow into the tissue because more blood vessels are there to help nourish and help grow the tissue. Actually, with your shoulder problem, this could be something that would help you because it's really good for physical therapy and repair as well. You're releasing nitric oxide, which is the magic pill of the body, basically. It's better than vitamin C in how it repairs your brain as well as your tissue in your body and gives you more oxygenation, more energy, more brain repair, more tissue repair, all of it. Like nitric oxide is just absolutely by far one of the most important supplements that everybody should be taking. If you're not taking it, go to Berkeley Life and don't order your nitric oxide because you should be taking it. We're all depleted with nitric oxide and magnesium. And I highly recommend both of those, as well as omega-3 essential fatty acids. You got to do them. But yeah, so when you're training with BFR, it's the weirdest experience. The first time I ever used them, I put them on, I pumped them up, and I was just jumping on my little trampoline. And I jumped off the trampoline like I usually do. And when I did, I was like, "Ugh," and I didn't have any strength in my legs. I'm like, what just happened? This is crazy. You definitely feel the effects of this right away. And this guy's Mark Wahlberg, who works out with these things on all the time. He works out every day. And Chris Hemsworth, this guy that played Thor. Yeah. So yeah, another guy that works out using BFR because it's all about smarter, not harder. And when you're working out, you're repairing and releasing human growth hormone naturally. So you're going to get bigger if you want to. It's a no-brainer. It's an awesome thing to have.
Is it more for muscle gain or is it also for rehab and rehab as well? You mentioned the
Both.
shoulder, so I want to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's both. It's both. Because when you're increasing nitric oxide and angiogenesis both, you're actually helping to decrease pain and inflammation too.
And what are the best practices for using it? It's okay to use at home, I'm guessing, based on everything you said. So can you just work out like body weight training and do normal workouts, or is there a specific type of workout people should do that they should find?
It's recommended that you use less weight than
Yeah.
you normally work out with. So if you usually are lifting 20-pound weights, you should do like 5 or basically because of the impact that it has. And, I am a certified B3 bands trainer. I can work with people and discuss this, but it is very important that the 20-minute mark is where things are, just so that you do mitigate some of the side effects that could occur from working out too hard with them too fast.
Okay. Is it 20 minutes per 24 hours, or can you like do it 2, 3
Yeah.
times a day?
Yeah. It's recommended 20 minutes for the workout. And you can do pre-workout or post-workout, wear them after your workout,
Okay. So
So
could you like do a normal bodybuilding set and then do this at the end to hit failure on all the muscle groups? Basically,
yeah,
that's
but
very
with
cool.
less weight, a lot less weight. It'd be more
Of
like
course, of
it
course.
would be more like that cool down.
I'm imagining some of the gym bros pumping these on
Oh God, yeah.
and
I
and
definitely
being
Well,
being
the
humbled
coolest
by
thing is
the
is seeing really cool athletes. For example, we had a volleyball player. The girl was in high school and she was trying to get to college and wanted to increase her vertical. She something like 16 inches more that she could jump. It was incredible. And the amount of
wow.
physical activity and improvement that you get with this is just outstanding. And again, with the link that we'll provide for B3, with Uncommon as part of the length, you'll see there's a whole bunch of literature that the company has created, which is amazing. Like little videos that teach you how it's good for thyroid repair, how it's good for brain repair, how it's good for muscle repair, how it's good to gain muscle mass, how it's good to have hormone regulations from everything in between. You'll be able to learn about all that.
Very cool. Okay. You touched on nitric oxide. Can you go a bit more in detail on that as well? What does it do exactly? How does it work in the body, whether you take it as a supplement or if you get it?
Yeah, nitric oxide, its core, it helps with your immunity because a macrophage, which is a little tiny cell in your body that helps to repair, is part of your immune system. It releases nitric oxide naturally to help kill pathogens. So if you're dealing with anything that your immune system is spiked with, nitric oxide is going to keep you healthy. Just even looking at COVID and all of the germs that were brought to the surface by being aware of things like COVID. Now we realize this is why you wash your hands. So you're not picking your nose and holding onto something that's standing right next to you that somebody else can grab onto. But the immune system is at its core based on using nitric oxide. Your blood vessels also at their core have receptor sites and use nitric oxide to constrict and dilate. Even things like for heart disease, obviously, it's a massive help. That's why people are instructed to arginine is a good resource for eating things that have nitric oxide in them. Even better is stuff like arugula. Yeah, the blood flow, your circulatory system. So that means it would help with impotence as well for men and women. It for sexual dysfunction is really helpful for that. So your immunity, your brain function, it helps with brain clarity. Neurology in general is all affected by nitric oxide, and as well as the circulatory system, of course, that's going to be affected there too. So when you're looking at immunology, neurology, and circulatory system, that's pretty much your massive life force right there.
That's very cool. Okay. Is there anyone in particular who shouldn't be taking it? I know, for example, you mentioned impotence. People who are taking erectile dysfunction medication shouldn't be touching nitric oxide, if I'm not wrong. That's what the crime shows always say. Anyone else who shouldn't be using it?
Just from talking with the experts, there aren't too many people who shouldn't be it, honestly.
Okay.
It's like vitamin C. Your body takes in what it needs to and will just eliminate what it doesn't. And the amount that you'd have to take to get into toxic realm is really high and it's really difficult to get there. It's one of the safest of all supplements. And I can say with confidence that when taken in the right doses and you're not taking too much, pretty much anybody can be doing it, just like vitamin
Okay.
C. Even people on prescription medications can take vitamin C too. And a lot of restrictions are just not warranted in the side effect with eating, honestly. The amount of things that you see that are detrimental or life threatening from taking a prescription and eating certain foods, the odds of that being bad is so low that I can sit here with confidence and say I do not even worry about it. When you're looking at food in particular, there's no food that's really going to completely destroy a human person and cause death
Right.
the way that prescription drugs do. If you want to put two chemicals in the same compartment, you're looking at a food versus a prescription drug that's been created, and you have 20 seconds worth of side effects in the 30-second commercial, or death, maybe one of them. I don't get it. I just don't get how
Right.
that's okay in our society. I do not find the interaction of foods with a lot of prescriptions is something to worry excessively about. Of course, there's always the one or two exceptions that are out there. So I'm not saying, just say, forget it and get out there. You still, very specific people may still have some things to look at according to their blood structure and their organ function and things like that. But for the most part, food is so healing. And that's why people who are on chemotherapy should eat completely differently than people who just had a heart attack, because your body eats different things different ways. And it's so much safer than so many other things that you can do.
That makes sense. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts, any maybe key takeaways that you think our listeners should keep taking? I think you said it just now in a perfect way, but anything else you'd like to add to that at all before we wrap up?
I think just staying open to science and understanding that true science looks at things from all perspectives. It doesn't just have the idealism of a prescription drug or the idealism of just food. Our body is an energetic system that is integrative and complex and works together. It's not just little pieces of petri dishes all over. We are an exceptional living system connected to the universe, to the earth, and to each other. And having that mindfulness and realizing that we have infinite potential to heal and infinite potential to affect others in the most positive way. My greatest takeaway is to stay connected to that, connected to God, source, all that is, and allow for the earth and the universe to work with you, because there's so much more available to us when you stay open to what and how you can heal outside of things that we can't always see.
I love that. I really do. So thank you so much, Dr. Grace. For our listeners who want to follow you and the amazing work that you do, especially with FoodFIXR, where can they find you? Where should they go to learn more?
Like you touched on before, I do have my podcast, Uncommon Medicine. We got a brief hiatus right now as FoodFIXR is really starting to take off, so it's taking a little more of my time. However, some of the archives that we have in Uncommon Medicine is really awesome, so I would recommend that. Of course, FoodFIXR, and that's spelled SODSI, capital X, capital R. And you can go to our website and learn things there, as well as follow us on LinkedIn, Insta. Our tag is at FoodFIXR. And as we're starting to really build out and finally launch. And so as we're launching, we'll be updating our branding and website and all that kind of good stuff. So just know that for right now, we're still in the beginning stages of everything, but this has been 15 years of experience in the process, and now the tech is going to be talking for us.
Looking forward to it. I'm hoping you'll launch in the Middle East very soon so I can play around with it myself.
Definitely be looking for it overseas. A lot of food is still food, so you'll be able to have some sort of resources no matter what, and then we'll just keep learning as we go and get all the good stuff from over there in the app as well. We'll get to there.
I appreciate it. But until then, thank you so much, Dr. Grace. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.